and the animals the best and safest experience possible while we're out here on the reserve stay. Now, while we are out here, we ask that you please do not yell, call out to, or shout at the animals as well. Some of them have very sensitive hearing. We don't want to scare them away. We want to get the best view of them possible while still being kind and respectful to them here in their homes. Now, on the right side, you might find some of our okapi. Also here on the left, up on that hill, you might find some of our bongo. Bongo are very unique. They're some of the only antelope in the world where males and females will both have horns on their head. Males are significantly darker in color, though, and they'll get darker as they age. There's also some greater kudu up ahead here on your right. They are some of the largest antelope in the world. They'll stand about 5 feet tall at the shoulder, and we can tell they're females because they do not have any horns. Those okapi out there, though, are going to be a little bit deceptive. They do have black and white striped legs, making them look just a little bit like the zebra, but they're actually going to be the only living relative of the giraffe, which we know because of their skull structure. It's nearly identical, just a little bit smaller. They've actually got that same prehensile tongue as the giraffe does as well. Prehensile just means they can grab things with it. Those tongues are really funky, though. They'll use them to clean off their eyes, ears, and even inside of their noses. If you're ever bored, it is a great YouTube search to check out. Our okapi are also incredibly occlusive in the wild, so occlusive we have no idea how many are left in the world. Their camouflage does them great justice. They usually travel by themselves or in pairs in the deep brush of the forest, making them nearly impossible to track. Now here on your left, you're going to find one of our black rhino laying down there. Black rhinos are going to be the smallest of the rhinos. They'll weigh in at just about 3,000 pounds when they are fully grown. Of course, you can't see it too well from here, but they do have a prehensile upper lip that's also going to be triangular shaped. It's a great way to differentiate black rhinos from white rhinos that also live out in Africa. They're solitary creatures. They do live and travel by themselves, so seeing one here alone is not all that unusual, but they are going to be some of our rhinos are critically endangered, or black rhinos are at least, since they're going to be poached for things like poached for their horns, and habitat loss are things that affect them. Pretty crazy that rhinos are poached for their horns, since rhino horns are actually made up of some of the very same things that make up our very own hair and nails, something we call keratin. There's going to be a saddle-billed stork out here on your left, that large black and white bird. She'll be named for the yellow satellite feature on the top half of her upper beak. It's going to be a really great way that we can tell she's females, actually, because of her eye color. She's going to have yellow eyes as opposed to males that will have gray or brown eyes. And it might not seem like it from back here, but she is going to stand about 5 feet tall and a wingspan of over 9 feet wide. It's about 2 feet wider than the canopy that's here up above our heads. So that is pretty crazy. Now we are heading out onto the Safi River here. We'll keep those eyes peeled for any shadows under the water. It might just mean there's some hippos around. Hippos can hold their breath for about 8 minutes at a time. You might see a couple of them having a little bit of a nap over your right shoulder there. Like I said, those hippos can hold their breath for about 8 minutes at a time. Even when they're sleeping, they've actually got a reflex to bring them back up to the surface of the water for air. You pinkback pelicans out here on your right as well are some of the largest, some of the smallest pelicans in the world, but their wingspan is still going to run about 7 feet wide. They are pretty large even for some smaller birds. Doesn't like that whole float of hippos is out here on your left as well. Our hippos do spend most of their time throughout the day in the water to keep themselves cool. And despite how much time they spend in the water, though, hippos are actually very poor swimmers. So we'll never see them floating at the surface of the water. They're just going to hop, walk, or even stand on the bottom of the river floor to help them move along just a little bit faster. Our hippos are primarily nocturnal. They're going to come out at night to find food. They can travel as far as 6 miles away from the waters they spent their days in, only to return back to those same waters once again in the morning. Now, we are going to be heading over this bridge here in just a second. It's going to get pretty bumpy, so make sure to hold on tight because we are out in crocodile territory. Down below here on your left-hand side, you are going to find some of our Nile crocodiles. These Nile crocs are going to grow to be as long as a giraffe is tall, and they're going to have a bite for actually that within that portion. But despite being top predators out here, those crocs are actually going to be really great parents. They're going to roll their eggs around up and see what we can find. I wouldn't be too surprised if we saw some giraffes. Even from back here, being the tallest animals in the world, they are pretty easy to spot. I see one or two way out there on your right side. We will come around to get a little bit of a closer look at them here in just another minute or two, because there are some pretty cool features on them that are a little bit easier to point out from closer up. But they are the tallest animals in the world, like we said. They'll stand about 16 to 20 feet tall when they're fully grown, and they'll even be born standing at about 6 feet tall. It doesn't like we might just be out in painted dog territory. Out here on your left side, you might find some of our painted dogs. Painted dogs are beautiful. They're named for their pattern on their coat. They're one of our most successful actors. They're going to be 3 to 4 times more successful in each and every one of your lions. In each and every one of your hunts than your lions will be. And they're quite unique since they're led by not only an alpha male, but also an alpha female that work together to use their pack. They go through the most complex social hierarchies of any pack animal in the world, but their packs do typically consist of family units that will stick together throughout their whole entire lives. Of course, the first of our giraffes is working its way a little bit closer to us, but there are plenty of other animals out here, so we'll talk a little bit more about these giraffes in a minute. You might see the first of our 8 Holy World Watching Sea cattle here. Those cattle are going to be named after the tribe that originally domesticated them. Those huge horns on their head are going to grow to be about 6 feet in length when they're fully grown. Not very heavy though, they're almost entirely hollow with a honeycomb structure inside of them to keep cool. There also are going to be some of our sable antelope back there on your left as well. Sable antelope are actually going to be our emblem here on the reserve. And they are going to be the only antelope in the world that will never back down from a fight. You might notice the big, thick, wide stripes on the top half of our zebra's legs, though. It's a great way to tell these are Hartman's mountain zebras and differentiate them from some other kinds of zebras in the world. Another good way is that they have a dewlap or a hanging flap on the bottom of their necks. They're the only type of the 3 zebras that have that. It's a good way they help to cool off. Our cattle have dewlaps as well, a little bit more noticeable, however. Something else with a very noticeable dewlap is going to be the Patterson's elands that are out here on your left side. You might see one up on the hill. And we'll pass some of those bushes out here too. Patterson's elands are the largest antelope in the world. They'll stand about 6 feet tall at the shoulder, and they can jump about 8 feet straight up in the air at a moment's notice, which is really crazy since they're going to weigh in at over 2,000 pounds when they are fully grown. And we will come around to get a much closer look at some more of these Maasai giraffe here as well. Now you might notice that they do have no clear defined edges on their spots. It's a great way to tell these are Maasai giraffe and to differentiate them from the other kind of giraffe in the world, the reticulated giraffe. You might notice our giraffes have those 2 little things sticking up in between their ears as well. Those are going to be something we call ossicones. They're not any type of horn or antler. They're just bony protrusions that stick up off of their skulls. Great way to tell our giraffe and okapi are related, though, since they're actually the only 2 animals in the whole entire world that will have these ossicones. It's a really great way that they help to protect and defend themselves, but also a really great way that they help to release just a little bit of extra fat. Our giraffe super long necks that they're known for, however, are actually really cool. They're only going to have 7 vertebrae or bones in their necks, though. It doesn't sound like a lot because it isn't. It's actually the same number us humans have, and theirs are just a little bit larger than ours, of course. We'll head around and try and see if we can find anything else out here on the reserve. It does look like there are some springboks way up on the top side of this hill here. Just in between that very tall tree and a lot of the brush that's out here on that right as well. Those springbok are really cool. They are going to be the smallest antelope here on the reserve. They'll weigh in at about 75 pounds when they are fully grown. They're going to be named for their ability to spring straight up in the air 6 feet. They can jump 13 feet across, and when they're excited, they'll jump like this multiple times in a row. Something we call croaking, a derivative of the Afrikaans word croak, which actually means to show off. But despite being named for how good they are at jumping, our springbok are actually going to be in the top 10 fastest land animals in the whole entire world. They're going to reach speeds of about 55 to 60 miles an hour, which is really crazy since they can actually compete with the slower end of a cheetah. Now we are heading around to a slightly different portion here of the savannah today. We'll start to see quite a bit of additional greenery and brush. Provides an extra amount of shade, shelter, and even food to some of the other animals that we might be finding out here. So we'll keep those eyes peeled and see what's going on. Not quite out the forest yet, but some animals do have some pretty good camouflage and can make them just a little bit trickier to spot. Does look like there actually are some mantle monkeys out there on your left-hand side. Mantles are going to be the largest of monkeys in the world. They'll weigh in at about 60 pounds when they're fully grown, at least your males will. Females are significantly smaller. They'll only weigh in at about 20 pounds when they are fully grown. Another good way to tell them apart is going to be that facial coloring. The blue and red that they're known so well for is going to be significantly brighter in your males than it will be in your females. As we continue along here, though, it is going to look like we are out in elephant territory. You might see one of our African elephants out here on your right-hand side. Our elephants are going to be African elephants. We can tell because of their ears, they'll actually be shaped like the continent itself of Africa. Our elephants are going to be the largest land mammal in the whole entire world, though, weighing in about 13,000 pounds when they're fully grown. And despite their size, our elephants are actually going to be afraid of bees. That's because they have really sensitive skin, and yes, that's why they hurt them quite a lot. Our elephants are really smart, though, and have really great memory, so they can actually recognize the sound of a bee buzzing, notifying the rest of their herd that there are bees in the area. This is so they know to stay clear until those bees are gone, and it's safer for them to return. Now, speaking of herds of elephants, we can only see one male elephant out there all by himself. I know it seems sad and lonely. I promise it's not, though. It's entirely normal. Herds of elephants typically consist of females and their babies. So as your males get older, where they no longer need their moms and herds for protection, they're going to head off onto their own, traveling by themselves, living a solitary lifestyle. Now, being the largest land mammal in the world, our elephants eat about 300 pounds of food every single day. And you might see some test marks here on that red clay on your right. Red clay acts as a really great resource for our elephants. It kind of acts as a multivitamin for them. It contains a bunch of extra vitamins and minerals and helps them fulfill some nutritional gaps that might exist within their diets. Their diets do consist primarily of grass, leaves, trees, and even a lot of fruit. Now, our elephants' diets are actually part of what makes them so incredibly important. Remember, coming out onto the savannah, we talked about how there are some important animals like giraffes that keep our trees healthy. Now, our elephants are another one of these animals because our elephants are actually going to be considered pollinators. That sounds really crazy. You think of a pollinator, you might think of a bee or a bug. But our elephants are migratory animals. They travel far distances throughout the year, and they're actually not able to digest any seeds. So when they go to the bathroom, they're going to replant already fertilized seeds, having to maintain not only their food sources, but the food sources of almost every single one of the other animals that we might find living out here. If you see our elephants flapping their ears here, I promise you they are not trying to fly away like Dumbo. They're just trying to cool off. They can cool off over 15 degrees just by flapping their ears like that. And you might see those cool prehensile trunks being put to good use out there. Those trunks are really cool. They actually have over 100,000 muscles in just one single elephant trunk. Pretty crazy, since it's going to be over 100 times the amount of muscles as humans have in our entire bodies. But despite popular belief, those trunks don't quite act as straws. Well, they can suck water up into their trunks, they'll just spray it back out into their mouths, kind of acting as a watering hose. And speaking of water, here at our watering hole, we are going to find our flamboyant of greater flamingos. These greater flamingos are going to be the lightest pink of the flamingos. They will be born with gray feathers, which will slowly come out over the course of about 6 months to a year. And that pink is simply going to come with time. It comes with something called beta-carotene in their diets. Their diets do consist primarily of shrimp and brine, so yes, the same thing that makes your shrimp pink is actually the same thing that makes our flamingos pink. Now, if you saw any of those flamingos out there standing on one leg, it's actually a really great way that they're going to help to thermoregulate themselves or control their body temperatures. They lift that leg up, hold it close to their bodies, and it helps them hold on to or release some extra heat. We are heading around our mud pits or mud wallows here. I don't think I'm seeing too much animal movement, but that's okay though. We will slowly work our way around, head back out to that more brushy area here of the reserve. Once again, we'll keep those eyes open. Some of our animals have some great camouflage. It can make them a little bit trickier to spot. Now, mud is going to be a really important resource, however, for a lot of our animals on the reserve. This is a really great natural cooling agent or sunblock for a lot of our larger animals. Also a really important insect barrier for some things like our elephants, help to protect their skin from some of those annoying pestering bugs like those bees that might irritate their skin. Now, it does look like we are actually heading out into big cat territory. I think I saw some cheetahs up ahead. So we'll come around to get a little bit of a closer look at them. Now, our cheetahs are going to be the fastest land animals in the whole entire world. They're going to reach speeds of about 65, some topping out at over 75 miles an hour. Our cheetahs are going to be the smallest of the large cat. They'll only weigh in at about 150 pounds when they are fully grown. And they're only going to stand about 2.5 to 3 feet tall at the shoulder. Now, if we can get a good look at their faces, they are going to have black tear-stain-like lines under their eyes that are actually going to act as really great natural or built-in sunglasses for our cheetah. This helps them to reflect light while they're actually out hunting during the day. Now our cheetah have adapted to hunt during the day because while they're really fast and really great at catching their prey, being so small, they're not very powerful. So they struggle to fight off some larger predators like hyenas, painted dogs, and maybe even your lions that might come out at night and try and steal their food from them. And the reason why our cheetahs are so fast is because they're the only cat in the world whose claws don't retract back into their toes. This is what allows them to gain a huge amount of additional traction needed to outrun larger predators and larger cats like the lions that we might find up here on our Kobe Rocks. Our lions do rest for about 20 hours a day. They don't necessarily sleep the whole entire time, but they do conserve their energy for when they go out hunting at night. Or at least your females do. Your males stay back and protect their young and their territory. Now, it does actually also look like there are some white rhinos up ahead here as well. On the right side, as we come around this turn, white rhinos are going to be the largest of the rhinos. They'll weigh in at just about 6,000 pounds when they are fully grown. They're also the only sociable rhinos in the world as well. They travel in herds or crashes, as we call them. These crashes typically consist of females, of moms, dads, and all their babies, and they'll stick together throughout their whole entire lives. You might see a couple of our babies out here as well, part of our species survival program. We'll talk a little bit more about that in just a few minutes here. There's also some water bucks out there as well. Those shaggy antelope that are out here by some of those trees. There's also some ostriches way back out there as well next to that green pickup truck. Talk a little bit more about some of those animals as we continue around here. So I do see our male lion up ahead, and I do want to point out something about his mane. You might notice that our male's mane is going to be much darker in color than the rest of his coat. It's a really great way to tell how old our lions are, and also take a guess of who's in charge of the pride, as typically the oldest and wisest lion is going to be Tomcat. If you are here tonight around sundown, make sure to keep those ears open. If you think you're hearing a lion's roar, you very well might be. Those roars can actually be heard from well over 5 miles away. So make sure to keep those ears open. Stay on high alert. You might actually have a very special moment here at Animal Kingdom tonight. I don't know. It actually does look like our ostriches are working their way up here. Perfect. They are the largest bird in the world, our ostriches. We do have females here. We can tell because of their gray feathers. Males are actually going to have black feathers. Males will also stand about 3 feet taller than your females will. Females will stand in at about 6 or 7 feet tall. Males are going to stand in closer to 9 or 10 feet tall. And the water buck back there as well, those shaggy antelope. Super cute. They've got little heart-shaped noses. They're actually named for how much time they spend around water. And they'll use that water to secrete a greasy, kind of smelly fluid from their skin. That actually helps to mask their scent from some of their other predators. Now, ostriches do lay the largest bird egg in not only any bird, but in the world. You might see them down below there on your right in a small nest. And those ostrich eggs are really incredible. They're going to weigh in at about 3 to 4 pounds each. And they are incredibly strong. So strong, in fact, that a human adult can actually stand on them without them breaking. They can easily withstand weights of well over 200 pounds without even producing one crash. Now we are coming around to one of our final stops here today of our journey. We're going to come check in on our local farmer and his Nigerian dwarf goats. In return for their protection, they do provide things like milk and cheese to the farmer and the villagers, helping to provide financial and nutritional gains. But these little goats are also just super duper adorable, and who wouldn't want to have these little guys as a pet? If you notice, they do have really big pot bellies, which is super important to housing their 4 stomachs. That's right, you heard me, 4 stomachs. I know, I'm jealous too, must be nice. And if you notice that yellow triangular box that's hanging out here on that front lawn, that's actually going to be something that we call a bee fence. Now, if you remember, we mentioned earlier that our elephants are afraid of bees. And at one point in time, not too long ago, elephants and farmers didn't have a very good relationship. That's because our elephants would accidentally stampede through farmland, destroying crops. This didn't make those farmers too happy, and it didn't always end too well for those elephants. But about 5 or 6 years back, some incredible scientists accidentally discovered that our elephants were afraid of bees, and thus we found an awesome solution to this problem. So now we can line our farmland with those bee fences. It's a really great way to help protect the crops and the livelihood of the farmer, but also, of course, those incredible elephants that we've seen out there today as well. Now, if you love those Nigerian dwarf goats just as much as I do, definitely make sure to head over to Rafiki's Planet Watch today. We'll take a 5-minute train ride on the Wildlife Express, head up to Rafiki's, and head over to the coolest place in all of Walt Disney World, the Affection section, where you can actually go and pet some of those awesome goats. They also have pink salad sheep up there, super cool, so much fun to go and check out. Our animal hospital is up there as well. If you happen to get up there at the right time, you might even be able to see an exam being done on one of our very own animals from here at Animal Kingdom. And they also have some other cool things up there as well.
Then we say cross-breeding. Cross-breeding means to go well.
They have our animal nutrition team up there. If you take part in enrichment. Enrichment is a really great way to help keep our animals using their natural instincts. And if you're looking for a little bit of a break here in your very long park days, when you head over to Rafiki's, definitely head over to the animation experience as well. It's about a 45-minute drawing experience where a professional Disney animator is going to teach you step by step how to draw some of your very favorite Disney characters. Last update I heard is that they are drawing characters from Winnie the Pooh. Super cool, lots of fun to go and check out. And you're sitting down in the air conditioning, and who's going to complain about that? Now the last train up to Rafiki's Planet Watch does leave at 4:30 p.m. 4:30 p.m. Make sure you are on that last train or up there earlier. But as long as you make that last train, you should be able to check out all of those really awesome things going on up there today as well. And there are going to be two really great walking trails here at Animal Kingdom as well. You're going to have the Gorilla Falls Exploration Trail. It will be right here as you exit. So just pop a U-turn or a very hard right turn on the merchandise shop that's going to be up ahead. Go head out into Gorilla Falls, home to two troops of gorillas. You've got a bachelor troop and a family troop. With some really cute little babies and young ones. You've got a reptile or amphibian house up there with cool animals like the mole rat, the only animal in the world who has never had a cancer diagnosis. Also got some other really cool animals up there as well, like pancake tortoises that might live inside of those Kopi rocks. As well as scruffy zebras, meerkats, one of the only two living relatives of the hyena. And if you're looking for some tigers, head over to the Maharaja Jungle Trek over in Asia. You'll find Sumatra tigers up there. We've got an aviary with over 50 different types of birds, a bat cave with flying foxes and giant bats. Also got some other cool things like water buffalo, the only bird in the world to ever fly directly over the highest peak of Mount Everest. Both those walking trails do close at 6:30 p.m. tonight. Keep in mind if you're heading over there later. But unfortunately, it does look like our time here is beginning to come to a close, and I do want to thank you so much for joining me here today. Once again, my name is Kirsten from New York. I hope you had a wild time out there today, learning something new about your favorite animals, or maybe found a new favorite animal. Now, for any of my wilderness explorers here on board, this has been the Simba 1, Simba like the lion and the number 1. If you've got any questions here today as you exit, or you'd just like to chat, feel free to head up to my window and say hi. It is quite literally always going to be open for you. Now for my friends over on your right hand side, watch your hands, eyes, feet, legs, doors are standing open.